Good morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS, our online show on Facebook Live, where we get to sit back, kind of chat with you.
Yeah.
You guys can chat with us, and we can answer some of your questions. A lot of people are asking about the weather.
I wonder why.
Rightfully so.
Anytime you have snow in the forecast, especially on a weekend, everyone is talking about it. And now that we're getting a little bit closer, things are coming into shape a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, they are, but still not 100%. So I'll tell you this. Let me go through through our local forecast here, and then we'll talk a little bit about Sunday. For now, we have pretty quiet weather. Actually, it's a pretty boring day of weather across the Piedmont, and that's kind of good news. It's actually a pleasant afternoon of weather shaping up. After a cold start this morning, we're in the 20s, so bundle it up as you get out and about out the door this morning. Sunshine, upper 40s, near 50 this afternoon with a bit of a breeze from time to time. That's not a bad afternoon of weather. Of course, now we have a bit of a breeze this morning, so even though we're in the 20s, those smaller numbers in yellow feels like temperatures, feeling like it's in the teens as you get going this morning. So keep that in mind. Dry, of course, here at home and all across the eastern seaboard, but I want to zoom out and go all the way out to the west coast. There's our system. Hasn't even made it onto land yet, the one that we're watching going into the weekend. And once it does, we're able to send up weather balloons and collect a whole lot more data from that system than we would be able to otherwise. And that data gets put into our models. Things start to come into better agreement, and we get a better idea of what's going to happen as we go into the weekend. For now, though, high pressure in control keeps us high and dry and remains in control for the next several days, although it does move offshore and it starts to moderate a bit, so it warms us up even a little bit more. Actually, where we should be this time of the year. So we're near 50 today, and we'll be near 50 for the next couple of days as well. Bit of a cold front will slide by as we go into Friday, and that'll cool us back down heading into the weekend, and that will set the stage for what I think is a more likely scenario to see a winter storm in the Piedmont on Sunday. Now, when we get into this kind of situation, there's a lot of questions, especially around here, of whether or not it's going to be a clean or easy setup or more of a messy setup. And what I mean by that is typically if you want to get a good old-fashioned snow, you want a nice even rain snow line, you typically need just one area of low pressure, and it generally rides up the coast. That creates that rain and snow line. With this setup, we're more likely to have two areas of low pressure, and that secondary low kicks in a layer of warm air above our heads and above the surface. So as snow falls, it melts, becomes rain, and then when it hits the surface, we're freezing again. And this is where we start to see those issues with sleet and freezing rain. And so now we're in that 3 to 5 day range, of course, on the far end of that, but we're starting to see things come into better agreement. It is looking more likely that there will be a winter storm in North Carolina this weekend, and it's starting to trend a little bit later. So I think Saturday's trending to be a drier day of weather. Sunday is more of the day that we need to watch. Now, we're still uncertain about all the specific details on exact timing, exact amounts, exact precipitation type, but I can tell you the trends look like it's going to be more of a mixed bag. So I think that snow, sleet, rain, freezing rain are all in the cards and all on the table right now as we look ahead into the weekend. Now, again, none of that is a guarantee, but I think all of that is a possibility, and I'm becoming more confident that there will be at least some disruptions with travel, maybe some power issues on Sunday morning, and that could linger over into Monday as well, okay? So we're fine-tuning all these details, but we're still a couple days out from nailing down everything exactly 100%, okay? So bear with us, keep checking back for updates, and a great thing to do is download that News 2 Radar app and that News 2 Weather app. We give all the updates there as well. Of course, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll have updates all throughout the day and over the next couple days, all right? So we are watching the weekend. Circle Sunday in your mind on the calendar as the day to watch over the next 7. Until we get to the weekend, the rest of the work week's pretty nice. Sunshine, 50 today. Sunshine in low 50s for your Thursday with a few extra clouds ahead of that cold front. And then we're sunny again on Friday, upper 40s, and that cooler air starts to arrive heading into the weekend.
You know, yesterday when you started talking about this, guys, we've gotten a little bit further in terms of our information gathering in terms of a day, because Ed, on yesterday it looked more like it might be a Saturday event, but you've kind of shifted that focus to Sunday.
Yeah, the forecast models, even though they were at opposite ends of the room, one forecasting a pretty major winter event and then the other one just a little bit of precipitation, have slowed the system down. Now we'll see if that trend continues, but at the moment, and again, this is a fluid and changing forecast, we think overnight Saturday night into the wee hours of Sunday morning is when precipitation is going to start across the Piedmont. We'll adjust that as we get more information. But you know, the models are not in total agreement, and you know, there's still a lot of things to watch between now and Saturday night, early on Sunday. But that model yesterday that was showing really next to nothing is now in more in line with the other model that was suggesting that we were going to have a pretty decent winter event. So confidence continues to build when you start getting a little bit more agreement, and hopefully they'll become in better agreement as we go into time. And a point that Christian made earlier, this system is still off the West Coast, 3,000 or so miles away. We got to get it over land. We got to send those weather balloons up and collect, atmospheric data. That information is critical to the output from our computer models. We put all that data in using sophisticated mathematical equations. Our models grind all that data, and they come up with the weather maps that Christian and I and the weather team look at every single day. So we think as it moves on shore of the West Coast, travels through the northern plains, and then kind of takes a dive through the Midwest towards the southeast, confidence will continue to build. But we're going to get something on Sunday. Now, the confidence is high about that, and I think it's just going to be a big winter mess of rain, snow, sleet, maybe even some freezing rain, a little bit of everything.
So Joanne pointed out that she's going to do church via live stream on Sunday, which honestly sounds like the best plan for this forecast. Sounds like church services will be disrupted, at least in some way, or at least it's something to watch if you have those plans. But I would say if there were such a thing as a good day for it to snow, it would be, for me, on a Sunday heading into a holiday that is Monday, which in this case is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So the kids are at home, not at school. You don't have to worry about the buses being on the roads in potentially icy conditions if this were to refreeze, Christian.
Yeah, and I really do think, the way that this is trending and trending later, even if the precipitation is done late Sunday night, really early Monday morning, we're going to be below freezing Monday morning. So I'm pretty confident if this scenario and this timing plays out that there will be some issues on the roads on Monday, carrying over even from Sunday. And then, we're going to be cold heading into the first part of the week, and just depending on how much drying we're able to do, I mean, this is looking far ahead, but there could even possibly be some slick spots on the roads by Tuesday morning as well. A lot of that, of course, is dependent on how much icing and how much sleet that we do get. I can tell you, over the last 24 hours, things have really been trending to be a little more of a mixed bag of precipitation. So I think snow, sleet, I do think there will be some freezing rain in this. All of that's on the table. So I do think there will be some issues, obviously Sunday and again on Monday as well.
So if we do get that combination snow, ice, freezing rain, it will be kind of like a packed situation, right? The snow won't really accumulate to high numbers because it will kind of crunch down. You guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know the meteorological terms.
Crunch down is
help me explain it.
That works.
Crunch down ratio.
I get what you're saying. I visualize it.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. Just say that, you get some snow, and we think that initially when it begins Saturday night, early on Sunday, it will be mainly snow, and then we're going to get that mixed bag as we go into Sunday. That will help to pack it down a little bit. A lot of folks are saying, well, how much are we going to get? And, we told you yesterday, and we're telling you again today, it is still way too far out to talk about accumulations. And another difficult angle is the fact that it's going to be a mixed bag of wintry precipitation, so it is going to be difficult to assess how much we're going to get. If it was all snow, it would be somewhat easier, but even so in that scenario, forecasting snow amounts can be difficult. I think the important thing at this point is rest assured that our confidence is running high that we're going to have some type of a mess on Sunday. Now, at this point, and I may eat these words, but at this point, not a big, system that would, keep us in the house for a week. I mean, I just don't see that. I just see a big mess. Now, what your forecast team is going to do probably beginning, maybe Tim may do it tonight, but certainly by tomorrow and Friday, we're going to start to kind of home in a little bit on, you know, what we're going to get. But again, I think or how much we're going to get. And I think the important thing now is to realize that if you were going to be traveling on Sunday, I'd pretty much go ahead and change those plans now. Again, we think Saturday's okay. Sunday, just kind of a mix of all different types of wintry precipitation. So not focus at this point so much on how much we're going to get, but just the fact that it's just going to be a real messy day coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And potentially Monday, as you alluded to.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
All right, so we got a question a little bit earlier about rain to snow ratios. I know you've touched on that a little bit, but can you explain what that means and how more or less rain could affect the overall seriousness of the storm and how long the impacts last?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think Scott was asking that question. In meteorology and when we forecast snow, kind of a general blanket liquid to snow ratio is a 10-to-1 ratio. And that means that an inch of liquid in the atmosphere, if it all falls as snow, would be equal to about 10 inches of snow. That's kind of the general blanket scenario and ratio that models work off of. I can tell you, and Ed, chime in here, but I don't know if there's ever been a situation in the last many, many years where we have had a solid 10-to-1 snow ratio. And a lot of that is because of where we live. And you know, we're talking about the chance of this second area of low pressure developing, and that would kick in a layer of warm air. And all of that cuts down on that liquid to snow ratio, because if you have the layer of warm air, a lot of that snow is melting before it reaches the ground, of course turning into rain, and then it actually falls as freezing rain or sleet if it has the opportunity to freeze. So the snow ratios kind of go all over the place, and especially around here, a lot of that has to do with, you know, with warm air and the amount of liquid that actually falls.
Yeah, yes indeed. And how often, I mean, think back, gang, how often do we have just a pure, beautiful snow? Not very often.
Yeah.
Not very often. We usually have some kind of mixed bag of wintry precipitation, and again, that makes that very difficult. And as a rule of thumb, that 10-to-1 ratio, you know, is kind of the rule, but it can change. You know, the ratio can be higher or lower, if you will. And what's compounding that problem, again, is that we're going to see the wintry mix.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. I think yesterday we were kind of making light of it, but you know, in a way we're serious about, you know, if you're looking on social media today or over the next couple of days, you're going to see a lot of just weather models and screenshots with zero context in them. And if you see a lot of these snow map or snow accumulation model maps that people put out, what we call deterministic maps, a lot of those totals are simply based on one model run at a 10-to-1 snow ratio. So there are a whole lot of variables that go into that, and that's, you know, that's why we really stress to not take that to the bank and really not use that as a forecast. It's much more of a guidance tool that we use in forecasting. So if you see that today, honestly, just kind of keep scrolling and keep checking back with us and your local meteorologist, whether you live here, whether you live outside of our area, for the most, you know, for the most honest forecast and most accurate forecast as well.
All right, so when will we start to know the finer details in terms of what areas, timing, snow amounts? What day will that all happen?
Well, I think we're going to start to kind of, I mean, just look at what we're talking about today as compared to yesterday when we were looking at our two major models that were at opposite ends of the spectrum in forecasting weather. And, you know, Christian and I was like, wow, man, how do we present this with such disagreement? And we told our viewers the truth. Hey, the truth works, right? Everything is kind of up in the air right now, but we're beginning to zero in a little bit more. Tomorrow, zeroing in a little bit more. That'll be the case on Friday. We'll still be watching this extremely closely coming up on Saturday. And once we do start to kind of throw out amounts of the wintry mess that we anticipate, we're going to tweak those numbers. We always tweak those numbers up or down based on the new information that we get. So it'll begin tomorrow and just only ramp up as we head towards Sunday.
You know, it's the old meteorologist joke, ask me tomorrow and I'll know more. But really, you know, I mean, there's a whole lot of truth to it. You know, think about how far we've come in the last few days. You know, now even though we're not at specific details, you know, we're able to now tell you, hey, this is trending more of a Sunday storm. Earlier in the week, it said, you know, it may be a Saturday and a Sunday event. Now it's looking more like a Sunday event. You know, a couple days ago we were saying this could be all snow, but we don't really know. Now we're able to kind of draw it in and say this is likely going to be a mixed bag of precipitation. Now, exact timing, when it starts, when it ends, exact amounts and exact travel issues and pinpointing all that, we're still a little ways from that. But again, notice how far we've come in the last few days, and that all grows with the confidence with the latest guidance and the data that we get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stephanie at Eden says she's on the border of Virginia, hopes that she gets a lot of snow. Typically, sometimes we do see those northern counties get more than the Metro Triad. We had a viewer earlier tuning in from Oak Island. Christian, you said that likely this storm wouldn't affect the coast as much as it would us. Is that what you're still anticipating? Yeah,
not so much with the wintry precipitation. I mean, regardless, it's going to be a soaker of a day on Sunday along the coastal regions of North Carolina. And a lot of that, again, is just based on the track of that area of low pressure. If it continues to track further east and off to the north, I mean, it's going to be a soaker day down at the coast.
Well, a lot of people are saying they'd rather snow than ice. But with this system, it could be either or both. And so I think that's what concerns a lot of people. So I think probably the most concerning is the chance for power outages, especially because it's so cold. Is that what we normally see with ice or freezing rain, issues with outages?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that, you know, that the freezing rain part of the equation will be limited, but I tell you what, given the different precipitation types that are going to be going on during the duration of this storm, certainly we got to be prepared. And you may be thinking, what can I do now? Cancel travel on Sunday. No need to go anywhere because it's going to be messy. And again, that's another part of the equation we're going to be zeroing in on as we get closer to the weekend. Are we going to have power problems? It doesn't take a lot of ice to you know, cause down trees and power lines and things like that. So we're just going to have to assess and kind of zero in and focus on how much of the different precipitation types are going to be freezing rain, because obviously that's the worst. The more it stays, even sleet is much better than freezing rain. Freezing rain by far is the worst winter weather type that you can have. Sleet bounces off. Now it will accumulate on trees, but the sleet will bounce off the power lines and fall to the ground. So the freezing rain we definitely don't want, but it is something that we're going to have to watch very, very closely. I'd go ahead and get prepared for a messy day. You know, you got your winter weather, bag. You got your severe weather bag. Just kind of think about, you know, what would I do if the power happens to go out Sunday or Sunday night, and just be prepared. May need it, may not.
Right, that's a good idea to have any time of year, especially in winter. We had a long discussion about emergency kits a couple weeks ago when I-95 froze over and drivers were stuck there for 24 or more hours with very limited supplies. And so Scott brought up this point too, saying have essential supplies ready, batteries, water, blankets, etc. You really never know when you're going to need those items.
Yeah. Snow over rain, over freezing rain.
All the time.
All the time.
Nobody likes ice.
No one.
Nobody.
So a lot of people do have a few questions about where primarily we'll see this. Megan mentioned the beaches, probably nothing at all. Are we thinking our mountain areas? Potentially, they do see usually some significant or more or so impacts from winter weather than, let's say, the metro areas.
Oh yeah, you know, actually, before we even get to Sunday, the mountains will probably see some snow Thursday night and early Friday morning with that cold front when it slides by. So they could even get some snow out of that. Mountains, and places further to the north and further to the west, we always talk about the I-85 line, right? Or the I-40 line. North and to the northwest, the mountains, and the foothills are likely going to see this as mostly a snow event. You know, I can't guarantee that yet, but that's the way the trends are going. And as you get further into the Triad and into the Central Piedmont, you know, it looks like there will be a much better chance to see some of that mixing. You know, it could start as snow and transition over to sleet, maybe a period of freezing rain, then back to snow and sleet, and maybe ending as snow. Again, you know, when we talk about fine-tuning the details and specifics, those are the things that we really don't have worked out yet. But you know, but I can tell you with better confidence that this is going to be much more of a snowmaker in the mountains and much more of a mixed bag maker for us here in the Central Piedmont.
Yeah, and just a quick point, Dana brought this up earlier. If this were to linger into Monday, of course, all the celebrations and events honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. could be in jeopardy if those events are happening in person. So keep in mind, it's a National Day of Service on Monday. So if you're unable to do an event that you had planned to do in person, consider doing a service project at home, maybe with the kids. Make, you know, supply kits for the military, maybe weave a blanket and donate to a homeless shelter. Anything you can do to still honor that holiday is going to be really important.
Before we go into our headlines this morning, I want to make sure you guys know in Guilford County, schools are closed Monday and Tuesday. Monday because of the observation of Martin Luther King Jr. And the holiday. Tuesday is a teacher work day that's been planned. So for Guilford County students, if this lingers on for a little while, it's probably the best case scenario. And again, as you said, most schools and businesses are closed on Monday, or I should say city-run businesses.
Yeah, which hopefully will give crews some time to get on the roads and clean up whatever does fall. All right, so this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for your questions, Ed and Christian. I'm sure you are preparing to take more as the days get closer to this system and as you continue to fine-tune the forecast.
All right, let's jump into our headlines this morning. Hospitals nationwide are days away from running out of blood. The supply is low and impacting already stressed hospitals, and it's prompted the American Red Cross to declare its first ever national blood supply crisis. WFMY News 2's Itini's McMiller has critical information on how you can donate blood today.
The Greensboro Blood Donation Center here on Yancyville Street accepts blood 7 days a week, yet 75% of their donation appointments are not filled, and that's across the entire Greater Carolinas region. And this has hospitals right here in the Triad on pins and needles. The American Red Cross is Novant Health's #1 blood supplier. In recent weeks, the Red Cross had less than a day's supply. A doctor who manages Novant's blood lab says he must now monitor their supply daily to make sure they have enough to treat their patients. He says all it takes is one unplanned event for them to have to make tough decisions on who can receive blood and who has to wait.
One car accident, one patient involved in a motor vehicle accident could probably match what my daily inventory is for blood supplies for that particular blood type. And if something like that were to happen, that could impact patients later in the day or the next day.
And you can keep hospitals from needing to alter patient care by simply donating blood. Here are some places in Greensboro you can give this week. The Blood Donation Center here on Yancyville Street, St. Paul Catholic Church, and Lutheran Church of Our Father also have blood drives planned. And the blood that hospitals in our areas receive cannot be ordered or purchased on the market. They must come from people like you and me. You can sign up to donate by making an appointment online or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Okay, one final look at the 7-day forecast before our potential winter storm on Sunday. How about some nice quiet weather? And I kind of like the idea of a bit milder. We'll be, yesterday we were 39 for a high. Forget that. We're up to 50 today and low 50s coming our way tomorrow. Sun and clouds on Thursday. Cold front moves through. That's going to usher in the cold air, one of the very important ingredients to get winter weather. We'll be up into the upper 40s on Friday, and look at Saturday and Sunday as we stay in the 30s. Now note those morning lows, 29 on Saturday morning. No precip expected on Saturday during the day, but look at Sunday morning as we can see temperatures drop into the low and mid 20s. And then of course Monday and Tuesday, Temperatures well into the 20s both of those mornings, so some leftover ice could certainly be around. We're looking at Sunday, kind of zeroing in on Sunday for the event to unfold probably after midnight on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and then the precipitation will end later Sunday night. May start as snow, a wintry mixed mess, and then may end as snow by Sunday night.
All right, well, that is a forecast for you.
Sure is.
Might not be what you wanted.
No.
But it is coming.
And it's important.
Yeah. I want to thank Sheila Franklin, who posted on our feed here that Randolph County is closed both Monday and Tuesday as well. I did not know that, so that's good information, and thanks for sharing it with me and everyone on our feed. And now I will deliver that to the newsroom, and we'll add it to the rest of the newscast as well.
You're multitasking this morning.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
All right, hey, thanks so much for spending part of your morning here with us on After GMS. We do this every weekday at 7:45 on the WFMY News 2 Facebook page.
Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon.
See you.